Coursera is one. Um, I know Harvard is also having some free courses, and someone will say, "Oh, when you finish, they'll ask you to pay some money for certification." Sometimes we think about the money that is big, is so much, but when you think about it, in the end, you get more results, you get more benefits out of it. So we need to invest. So it might be that you are not going to buy the new lace that has come, or go to the salon to do your hair for 2 months to be able to get that certification. You need to do that. And also in career growth, you need to seek feedback. This, I think, last week we talked about mentorship. You need to find a mentor, and sometimes you need to find someone who is very critical, because we always try to go to someone who is always on our side telling us what we want to hear all the time. No, getting someone who is critical will give you a clear will let you know about yourself, right? Because some people can be critical and professional about it, and not hateful about it. So finding such people in as colleagues, or even your supervisor, or even someone who supervises another area but sees your work, you need to seek out for such people. For me, for example, I had a store manager. He was so mean. He was so mean. He made me cry once on the sales floor. I was promoted to his store, um in the for my hourly to my salary position. This man was so mean. But guess what? Anytime I need a career growth, or I'm thinking of, I'll after I set my goals and it's time for me to go to the next level, he's the one I reach out to, because he told me as it is. Yep, tough love. He's not going to miss his word. He told me as it is. So seek feedback. Mentorship is very, very, very crucial. And Queen Sarah talked about building relationship, right? Networking. Networking is very, very important. You network with people in your position, or sometimes you can find someone in another competitor or something, uh, that aligns with your career growth, and build relationship with them, right? So you network. LinkedIn is a good place where people network. LinkedIn started, it was so good, but now it's become like, oh, Facebook now, right? People post unnecessary stuff, but you can still utilize it. Follow the right people. You need to follow the right people, follow the CEOs. People do brag. People really do brag. You're right. Don't let them deter you, because what did they say? Empty barrels make the most noise. So don't let them. Let's get them talk. But go follow the CEOs. Follow what they are looking out for. Follow the recruiters. Just be selective on who you are following on LinkedIn. And also, you need to take initiative. No one is going to roll down the red carpet for you, or they bring you a golden plate, right? So take initiative. No one is going to say, "Oh, Mimi, I need you to go do this," before they see your capabilities. You need to take initiative. You need to get up and go like, "Okay, I've mastered this. Now I need a challenge. So let me go and do this." And you can go to your supervisors or even a colleague and it's like, "Oh, I see you are doing this. Can I help you?" And through that, you will learn something. No one is going to bring the job to you. Competencies. Another thing that you also need to look at is the next step that you want to go to. You have to start exhibiting those competencies. I always say that. I tell people in my workplace, you need to always uh, dress, I put it in quote, dress and act your next position, right? So if you want to be, say, you are manager one level and you want to go to manager two level, that's your next level. You need to look for the competencies or what they look out for in that position and start working on those things that they are looking out for. So that when you apply for the position, you're already doing the job. No one applies, no one takes someone who doesn't know how to do the job. Okay. So make sure you are looking at the competencies of the position you are looking for and start working on them. And then you also have to adapt to change. Change is the only constant thing in this world, right? Change is the only constant thing in this world. Change happens all the time. If you don't move with change, you're going to get stuck, right? I always say the colleague lagoon stinks because it's always stagnant. There's no water coming in and there's no water going out. So adapt to change. You need to be flexible. Sometimes we find ourselves saying, "Oh, me dear, me dear." No, you dear. Like look at what is happening and try to understand the reason why that change is happening. As human beings, we don't like change, but change is constant. So we have to realize that change happens for our growth, right? The Bible even says that when you're a child, you drink milk. When you grow up, you start eating meat. Okay, so we don't drink milk from birth to we grow old, right? We develop our taste buds and stuff like that. So you have to realize that change is difficult, but have to learn how to adapt to it. And in adapting, to be able to adapt, you need to find the reason why. Why are we changing, or why is this changing, or why is that? And you also heard the adage where when life gives you lemons, you make a lemonade out of it. Okay. So Queen Sarah talked about job shopping and being, very strategic in what you want and going for what you want. But what if life doesn't go as expected, right? I wanted to be, what do you call, a broker, right? I wanted to work for Deloitte and Touche, but life didn't throw me that. I found myself in retail. And then in finding myself into retail, I told myself, I, I want to, I, I I find myself in this way, but I need to still um, flourish, right? So again, I did step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. I did all of that. And Queen Sarah also talked about negotiating pay. I had to take a pay cut in order to be able to move forward, right? I started as a cashier with the company I'm working for, and and she talked about resume. So on my resume, I put all my qualifications and all the stuff and all the experiences I had. I was a paralegal before we moved to Georgia, and then we came back to um, Virginia, right? So I put all that there. So when I started at that time, I was making a lot of money as a cashier. But I realized that being a cashier, I would not be able to move forward with the company. So I took a pay cut and went to the sales floor as a sales associate. And from there, 15 years later, I'm in my position now. Okay. So you have to adapt to change. Then you have to focus on your personal branding. Last week we talked about being yourself, right? And we talked about if you're a round peg, you cannot fit into a square hole. Be yourself. Focus on your personal branding. Um, and personal branding, remember, if you burn bridges, people will not forget. Do not burn bridges. And it's a very small world. You are going to meet someone. You are going to meet someone somewhere that you work with somehow. And another thing we also always say is, as a leader, make sure you are not a topic at someone's dinner table. Don't make sure you're not a topic at someone's dinner table. Meaning, when when they are eating, when their family is sitting down eating, are they going to talk about you, that my boss was so mean and my boss was this and my boss did this to me, or this colleague of mine was this way and she acts this way? Or they're going to say she's so caring, she's so helpful. So focus on your personal branding. Then evaluate and reflect. Again, that goes to number 6. Life is all about change. Things happen. There are seasons. So if it's not going on as you expected, you have to evaluate, reflect, and then change course. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Mimi,
Yes.
please, God bless you. Initially, I had 2 questions, but you've answered one of it.
Okay.
So I was going to ask, like all these things you're saying, it looks to me like you need to have a certain love for what you're doing, or passion, to be able to get the motivation to take initiative, build it. Because being in a job you don't like, it's like you don't even want to be there. So my
Mhm.
first question was going to be, how do you position yourself to love a career? But I think you answered it when you talked about adapt to change and you talked about your experience.
Mhm.
So my next question is, at what point do you consider a career change if it's not working? Like if you can't, like if you tried but you're not adapted, at what points do you consider that?
Okay. Does anyone have any examples or life experiences, Queens? Are we there?
We are here. Oh.
No one has anything to say. I know we all have something.
Nadia, what was your question again?
She was asking that at what we talked about change, right? But what if you don't have a passion in what you're doing? At what point do you try to look for another job or another
Like
position?
a career change into
Yeah.
something you want to do. Like I was basing it on how she shared the experience on how she adapted to change, and now she's in a position I presume you love, right? I'm presuming you love it. Or I don't know. Maybe you.
I'm still
I
on a
don't.
journey. So you
Okay.
saw how I said career growth is a journey. I'm still on a
Okay.
journey. I've not landed yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's okay to be in the interim. Like you hate it, but
Yeah.
you're still there.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, so far as it's
Wow.
paying, I would say that so far as it's paying your bills and you're not sleeping outside, let that be enough motivation for you to wake up and go. And
Okay.
also, um, what you may be doing now may not be what you like, but it'll be putting whatever you want on your table, food on your table. But coming from a non-profit perspective, why don't you volunteer at places that you want to, you want to be in future, so that you put your foot in that door, okay? And then also sometimes just looking at it as, what am I learning from this opportunity, right? Like, it is not the ideal. Like, for instance, my current role is so fast paced. It is not me. I don't roll like that. But and then I realized that I want to have my own businesses. I want to establish companies. And so I can't isolate myself to, I want to be in academia, so I will not learn the other thing. So yes, I'm struggling, but also consistently I keep going back and asking for feedback to know how I will better myself. So that's not my ideal, right? But whilst in that position, I'm also finding opportunities for growth, so that bolos cry, you don't love what you're doing, but at least you grow in it, or you find something that you build a skill. Like, for instance, I have the opportunity to just do project management and get a certification for free. So whilst you're there, though you don't love it, what is it in there that can build you up, that can prepare you for your next role? Bible says the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. So wherever you are, you may not like it, but you may not be there by accident. So what is it here that I have to learn? what is it here that God brought me here to do? So that if you don't learn, you still be you be at the same spot over and over again. So I hope that answers you.
Yes, please. God bless you. This is so deep. And I think Miss Felicia Ake
Yeah.
says she has a suggestion based on experience. Miss Miss
Yes.
Felicia.
Hello, hello, lovely queen. Yeah,
Hello.
Alicia from Ghana, and based on the question, Sister asked, I would like to also share my experience. I don't know if it will help. Yes, so if you find yourself in a field where you don't like, one thing that I think you can do to help, which I did and it helped, is to learn to tolerate. Yes, number one, you already don't like the job, but it is more frustrating if you are surrounded with colleagues or superiors or others whose um, temperament or attitude also adds frustrations to the job you're already in. So one thing you can do when Auntie Nini spoke about adapting to change, yes, is to tolerate. That's my opinion. Just just take it that that is all you have left to do, and try and tolerate them, tolerate their excesses, and take advantage of that to build yourself. That is the understanding I get from the adapt to change. As you tolerate, yes, some will be rude, but have that positive consciousness that okay, this person is rude or this person in some way is really frustrating me in this job. But have that positive mindset that out of that attitude or rudeness, how is it going to build my life so that if I should move on and encounter people like that again, how am I going to relate with them? So indirectly, you don't like the job, but the aim should be that before you leave there, you should develop a certain skill when it comes to engagement with colleagues or staff, so that when you find yourself in another environment and you meet the same attitude or something, you'll be able to overcome it. It could be the job you want, but the people inside there can also be a problem. So if you are able to learn and then adapt to change in the previous job, when you find a job you like and the people there are even a problem, you already know how to handle yourself in their midst. So it will not be a bother to you in the next job. So tolerating all these excesses and then giving attention to the temperament, for me, I think is one example. That is exactly what I did in my banking job. It was not my field, but that was what my mom wanted. She wanted one of her daughters to be a banker. And so I had to fill that position to make her happy. But if I tell you the hell I went through, what I did to save me to date, they still mention my name, was my ability to tolerate. I tolerated their excesses to the extent that even managers, they were like, ah, they came once and they realized that I had tendered in my resignation. It became an issue, and I learned after I left that a whole private security agency was contracted to investigate what happened for me to leave. And a lot of things came up. Each staff there was interrogated. At a point, the manager called me and it's like, hey, Felicia, and the manager said, what we do now? And I'm like, ah, what happened? He said, hey, they've all been interrogated. They've been questioned on what happened and why I left the job because they didn't understand. To the extent that CCTV footages were taken just to study to find out who offended me for me to leave. It became a whole lot of issues. Why? I was able to tolerate their excesses. So when I left, they felt that no, this thing that I was able to do and left, they are not sure anybody can fill that gap. So, Sister Queen, this is a little suggestion that I'll make. And so, while you are tolerating, the second point is to search for other opportunities. You don't quickly rush out of a job because you don't like it. As you are thinking of leaving it, or just take it that that is what you are doing to put food on your table. So, whilst you are managing and tolerating, then you'll be looking elsewhere. So the moment you get opportunity elsewhere, then that becomes enough reason for you to work out. So this is a little I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you
Yep.
for
Thank you
this
so
wonderful
much. That
Wow.
that really sums up that portion of where you have issues in your career and you don't know what to do. I mean, wow, that is very impactful. Um, and I also, as in this group, we talk about faith, right? Um, you have to realize that it's a it's a very challenging um, space that we always, all of us, right? We all work in challenging places. People have different, I put in quote, gods that they come with, and people do things, I put in quote, to get into their positions, right? So we all have to protect ourselves, and we have the ultimate protector, the ultimate um, 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 God who sees us and who protects us. So uh, I go to work fortifying myself, right, in prayers and in tokens and stuff. It's not easy. It's not easy in the workplace at all. Even in school, right? Even school, it's not so easy, right? So thank you so much, Felicia. So the next thing that we're talking about after um, career shopping, job shopping, and writing a good resume and talking about career growth is interview skills. Interview skills is about having a great impression. Um, you have to prepare. You can't just go to an interview not prepared. You need to prepare thoroughly. Preparing thoroughly means you need to find out what the position is and what the job or the company stands for. Every company stands for something. You need to research. You can research on the internet, but preferably you need to find someone in there to tell you what is happening over there, or someone in that position, in maybe in that company or in another company, that can tell you what to expect for that position. And also read the competencies. So whatever they put out, what they are searching for, is what they are searching for, right? So you need to read and prepare questions based on that. No one is going to ask you questions not based on what they are looking for. Okay. So you need to prepare. Preparation is very, very key. And some people prepare by jotting stuff down. Some people prepare by chew and pour. Whatever is convenient for you, do it. But not preparing is not an option. So sometimes I get people who apply for positions and I ask them, have you been to that store? Have you been to that facility? No. Then why did you apply for it? You need to go around the neighborhood to find out what is there. Find out what you can bring to the table, so to speak. So I think let me go ahead and say it. I would say it, and so there'll be some repetition, but bear with me. When you leave an interview, you need to come up with a 30, 60, 90-day plan of what you're going to um, do for the company, right? If they pick you as their choice, what you're going to bring to the table. You need to send it to them. Preferably take it. If it's an in-person, take it. That, hey, I prepared a 30, 60 of what I've seen or what I can bring to the table. That makes you a very thoughtful person. That's very impressive when you do that. And then you practice common questions. Again, the questions are going to be based on the competencies or what you are looking out for. So, so who can tell me the most lucrative industry in the whole world? When we talk about industries, we talk about retail, we talk about music industry. Which industry makes a lot of money? Influencer? Okay. Okay. The movie industry. The movie industry makes a lot of money because why? Everyone wants to hear a story. So when you go for an interview, tell them a story. So a method that most people use or is a good method to use is the STAR method. So you write STAR. So situation. So whatever the question is asked, what is the situation? What are they looking for? Right? And be specific about it. Tasks. Oh, I mean tools. T is for tools. What tools did you use? Tools could be resources. It could be tangible and intangible resources. Who did you use? Um, was it a report or was it a software? Right? And action. So, what was the actions that you took? Were you in a leadership role? Were you part of the brainstorming group? What action were you involved in helping with that situation? And then the result. So Queen Sarah talked about in your resume, right? What the results were that you were part of this. Was the result? Most people tell their story and leave their result. Have you ever watched a movie and you are left at the cliffhanger? Don't you bore? Don't you get angry that this movie didn't end well? Cry. Results. What was the result? And that's what everyone is looking out for. And then you have to practice some of the questions. Tell me about yourself. When they ask, tell me about yourself, they are not really asking about your personal life. They want to know what you've done, right? And how it's going to help, how it's going to help the company, or what personality are you bringing to the group? So when that's what they ask, tell me about yourself. So you need to practice. Tell me about yourself in relation to what the company is looking for. And then when you're going for an interview, dress appropriately. No short skirts, no short skirts to be showing things, okay? Be modest. You're a queen. Dress like a queen. Be comfortable in what you're wearing too, okay? Um, I know this leader. She always says that when she's going for an interview, she always put on a red lipstick because it makes her teeth look very white. Okay, so whatever makes you feel confident, do it. I think Queen Sarah said, that tell me about yourself. Yes, that told me about yourself question. You get so many stories, like so many. Some people can tell you things that you go like, really? I had one who told me that, oh, she's fat. Seriously? How has that got to do with what we're talking about? So yeah, tell me about yourself. You need it's a trick question. I believe it's a trick question. So if you don't, it sets the tone for the interview because normally that's what people ask before they even go into the formulated questions that they need to ask. Yes, understanding the question is part of the interview. And talking about that, that is number one, two, three, four. That's number five, listening, right? You need to listen carefully. So it's okay for you to ask your interviewer to repeat the question. And it's okay to take a pen and paper to jot down your thoughts, right? It's okay to do that. You don't have to go and just spew and just take words out of the air. It's okay to jot it down. It's okay to ask them to jot it down. Ask them to repeat it. So body language is also key, right? And so I got a cultural shock when I came here. In Ghana, when you look someone in the eye, what do we say? You are daring them, right? You are daring. Why are you looking at me in my face? But in the Western, I don't know in UK if that's the culture over there. They want you to look in their face. If you lower your head a little bit, um, they think you're not confident. So I even had to point it out in one of our trainings. I was part of a group that was creating some training document, and I told them that thing that they keep on insisting that you have to look people in their eyes. So they even change it in our training. You don't have to look people in their eye from, especially it's not only Africans but also the Persian culture. You don't look supervisors or your superior in the eye. But again, knowing where you are going to will determine what your body language should be. Even the way you cross your leg, the way you sit down. So body language is very, very crucial. And then as Queen Sarah was put in the chat, you need to make sure you are listening to the question so that you answer it right and use the star um, method to answer the question. And then you need to communicate clearly. So sometimes we have I don't say we have English as a second language because in Ghana English is our predominant language, right? I say we have our mother tongues that makes us change the way we pronounce words. But we need to be proud of it because we are multilingual. They are not. So when we communicating, I always say communicate well. Just speak the way you speak. Don't try to speak like someone. Okay, because it tells about your confidence if you are not if you try to speak like someone. So communicate clearly. If you have to pronounce every letter in the word, do it. That shows confidence. So sometimes when they compare Ghanaians and Nigerians, you see how Nigerians speak. They use their vowels and stuff. They say it confidently. But in Ghana, we try to change it and stuff. No, be yourself. And also ask thoughtful questions. So most of the time when we after you're interviewed, you get opportunity to ask you, or do you have any questions? And we go like, no, ask a question. Try to find a question to ask. The easiest is, so what do you expect from someone for this position? That's the easiest question. Or some people even throw in, so where can I start? It's a funny one, but it's like, oh wow, I know I did go well, so where can I start? So always ask thoughtful questions. You could ask, oh, where is the company moving in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years? What's the direction? And always end on a strong note. Ending on a strong note, thanking them, as Queen Sarah said in what she was presenting. Thank them. Make sure you thank them for the opportunity and send them a thankful email. And that's when you could also add your 30, 60, 90 day of, hey, I thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity for this you giving me. And also after this interview process, this is something I came up with, what I can bring to the group or the company. Okay. So interview skills, the more you do it, the better you become. Um, so finding a mentor, finding someone that you can practice it with, it's very, very important. It will help you out. It also builds your confidence, right? Because that star model is a skill. You need to learn how to tell a story. And there are stories to be told. Even someone, if you, especially if you've had a gap in your employment, and you stayed at home to take care of children, of your kids or your family, or maybe you had a family member who is sick. That's a whole skill that you can turn into something. Instead of, so in explaining that gap, if you use the STAR method, you could say that during this time I was able to learn how to communicate, or I learned how to be resilient, or I learned how to so many things. But we don't think about it, and we think it was just a gap and I wasn't doing something. You were doing something. You were doing something. Taking care of kids is it's not easy. Taking care of a sick person is not easy. So Queens, does anyone have any questions, any contributions, any aha moment?
Please, I have a question. This is Sarah. Please, Sarah.
Yes, sir.
Please, for those of us who get nervous in interviews,
Mhm,
in-person interviews, do you have
mhm.
any tips? Personally, I prefer the remote ones because um I can do something outside the camera that's like to get my anxiety out. I can be shaking my leg or but if it's in person, I feel like a deer caught in headlights. So I don't know if you have any tips for us. Thank
You
you.
you see me laughing so hard, right? I have a story on this. So I had a Zoom interview with a one C-level person. I was so nervous. Guess what I did? I ended the Zoom. I did a Zoom interview and called. I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my internet, blah blah." I lied, but I was so nervous. But later on, I found out there's so many things that you could do. You could have some stress balls, that soft stress ball, or if you could a bracelet, right? When you move something around hand or something that makes you comfortable. And another thing that someone taught me when I was when we're in training on how to facilitate a large group, he was an improv teacher. He said, "You get nervous. It starts from your feet, right? So put your feet on the floor, right, grounded, and then squeeze your toes into the ground." So that it will stop shaking. And that's where the nervousness starts from. And I try that and it works. But practice also helps.
Wow, God bless you, Queen Mimi. That's a great tip. I'll put a mental note. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other stories? Hey, are we there? Or this is not a favorite topic?
Hello, ladies. I have a contribution to make.
Yes, Auntie Grace.
I just no, there's no but. I wanted to say that so I think sometimes we need to give ourselves a break and decide whether we have career goals or we have financial goals. This is very, very important. They're not the same, they're very different because you may want to be in a particular yes, yes, you hear the other. You may want to be in a particular career, let's say in law or in medicine or the big ones that Africans typically go for. And at the end of the day, it's been implanted in our heads that if you're not in any of those big name professions, you will not be rich or you will not receive honor. I don't even know what it is, but it's just a thing with mostly Ghanaians and Nigerians or Africans in general to want to be either a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, and right now, what I'm hearing is every Black person wants to be in tech because it
Yeah.
seems to have that grandeur of career around it. And then it also pays well. But you'd be surprised that there are so many people in careers or jobs that do not necessarily have any huge title, but they're making decent amounts
Mhm.
of money and it's holding them down. So at the end of the day, you want to find out, you want to have no do you have career goals or financial goals? Because for us women, you will get married, you will have children, and you don't want a situation where your kids are being raised fully by maybe teachers
Mhm.
and babysitters and like all those people who help us, who make life easier for us. At the same time, we're losing time one on one with our kids and our husbands and like partners and all of that. So if if you find yourself in a job that is paying you well and has the prospect to even increase how much you earn and will give you a very good life balance, I feel we should ease into it and then grow to love it. Um, there's pressure out there. There's pressure on social media. There's pressure on LinkedIn. People are posting every other week about how they're promoted into this title, how they led
Mm-hmm.
this conference, or how they attended this event and how they met these people. And they are it's a lot of pressure, and if you buy into it, you may miss out on something really great, which is your family and then your balanced life, to a point where you may not be strong enough to even go to church on Sundays or do anything other than work. Like, you come back home, you're still thinking about work, but it's paying you just enough to pay your bills and nothing else to save on the side. Whereas if you could have been in another career or a nameless career, you're making decent money, you're paying your bills, you're saving some, and you're even able to have time after work to work on your own business and then make extra money on the side. I think it's beneficial. So let's not put too much pressure on ourselves. Let's decide if we want if we have career goals or financial goals. I used to be one of those people. I'm done. Now I just have financial goals. I'm after the money, the comfort. So anywhere they are going to pay me very well,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to make sure that I have a very comfortable life where I don't come home thinking, have I done this? Do I need to send this? But like, I'm thinking about work when I should be helping clean or tidy my child's hair or read a book with my kid. Any job that's going to make me do that, I'm not taking it. So we need to be very picky and then also not buy into the pressure of what our African parents expect from us. That's all I wanted to share.
Great point, Queen Grace. Great point. That is like a mic drop moment right there. Good point. And some of the industries or to Queen Grace point, some of the jobs are looked down upon, but they really do pay. Really do pay and have a lot of benefits. Again, I use myself as an example. So when I started as a cashier, I used to tell people, yes, when my friends ask me, oh, did you man, oh yeah, what work do you do? I go like, me a kaya yo, I'm a chief kaya yo, at this company, blah blah blah. But let me tell you, the amount they pay their managers, we pay our managers, not they. We pay our managers, we pay more than a doctor makes. And the perks that they get, or the managers get, the store managers get, you'll be amazed. And the career advancement in the company I work for is a retail industry. You'll be amazed. But no one knew that. Everyone looks down on, even customers when they come, they look down on we who work there and go like, oh, you are not educated or you are a school dropout. But you get free education, degree free. You don't have student loan to pay. Free and accredited schools too. And you don't have to work for the company when you finish getting your degree. You can leave if you want to. And there's so much career growth. Think about it. We have it. We have air hostess, we have pilots, we have engineers in the company. And it's funny we're talking about the IT jobs. Yes, the IT job is not really even really paid. It's not one of the positions that is really paid in a company because there's a lot of them. But the other positions that people don't think about really pays. We even have DJs because we have our own station. Queen Nelly, I think I'll turn it over to you if no one has any comments or suggestions.
Hey,
Sorry, the kids are just all over. So this has been phenomenal. I mean, who has been blessed?
I
I
have been
I
so
would,
blessed.
yeah, I'm
I've been
so
so
sad.
blessed.
I was driving during Queen Sarah, so we couldn't record, but I have a lot of mental notes, and I think that Queen Sarah, I'm coming for a one-on-one with you one of these days because it's interesting how things play out in my life, right? I'm at a point where I'm working on graduation and I'm thinking of how to apply for jobs, but today I've learned that we shop. So I don't know about you, but personally I think that this was just for me. And so God bless all our facilitators. Nadia, God bless you so much for helping us
Amen.
put this together.
Queen
Whilst
Nettie,
Mhm.
1 minute. I'm so sorry. Please don't leave yet. I just put a survey. It's a short survey in the chat. Please, while Queen Nettie is speaking, can you kindly fill it out? Because we would like to have these sessions in the future and we would like to know what to improve. God bless you so much.
Also put it on the WhatsApp page. That would be easier. So, whilst I was driving, one thing, I mean, I've been thinking about it last week, but it came back again is that most of us too are also business owners, right? I don't like mentioning the word because my person make back because entrepreneurs, them dey meaning the idea. So let me stop recording. Let me end the recording, then I can make the announcement real quick and then we'll leave here. Zoom is always changing something. Oh my God. I can't find where to end the recording. Anyway, so I am thinking that next week we will dedicate it to our business owners. What do we think? Please, especially those of you who have businesses, please let me know if it's something that would be interested in, or even if you're someone who wants to start your own business like me, who is stuck. I don't even know where to start from. Okay, yes, I think that I've seen where